Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So today we'll be discussing the next chapter, chapter 25, which is a very small chapter, consists of only 15 verses. Okay, so let's begin reading. If you're in a position to read, please raise your hand so that I can request you accordingly. If you raise your hand, okay, let's go with the Shama Shriji Mataji first, and then Bhuvaneshwari Mataji, then we will request Padma Mataji as well. Okay, so let me just share the screen here. Okay, so first three verses. Let me actually change the mode here, advanced view, default view. Then it becomes easy. First three verses, please.
Okay, Prabhu. The glories of Lord Ananta. Prabhu, can you scroll down a bit? Can't see the top.
Sure, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Text 1. Shri Shukdev Goswami said to Maharaj Parikshit, My dear king, approximately 240,000 miles beneath the planet Patala lives another incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the expansion of Lord Vishnu, known as Lord Ananta or Lord Sankarshan. He is always in the transcendental position, but because he is worshipped by Lord Shiva, the deity of Tamoguna or darkness, he is sometimes called Tamsi. Lord Ananta is the predominating deity of the material mode of ignorance, as well as the false ego of all conditioned souls. When a conditioned living being thinks, I am the enjoyer and this world is meant to be enjoyed by me, this conception of life is dictated to him by Sankarshan. Thus, the mundane conditioned soul thinks himself the Supreme Lord. Text 2. Shukdev Goswami continued, This great universe, situated on one of Lord Ananta's thousands of hoods, appears just like a white mustard seed. It is infinitesimal compared to the hood of Lord Ananta. Text 3. At the time of devastation, when Lord Anantadev desires to destroy the entire creation, he becomes slightly angry. Then from between his two eyebrows appears three-eyed Rudra, carrying a trident, and this Rudra, who is known as Sankarshana, is the embodiment of the 11 Rudras, or incarnation of Lord Shiva. He appears in order to devastate the entire creation. Thank you.
Thank you. So later we can read a little purport as well. Okay, so no problem. Let me share the screen. Okay, so in the previous chapter, we discussed about the subterranean heavenly planets in Sanskrit, which is called Bilasarga. Bilasvarga. So not only Bilasarga, but we also discussed the various planetary system that exist between the sun and the Bhumandala. So we also mentioned the Rahu will be there, below Rahu other planets will be there as well, that we discussed, say below the sun. So we discussed this one. Below we have Bhuvarloka, planets of enjoyment for yakshas, rakshasas, pichachas, ghosts, and then we have Rahu, planets for siddhas, charanas, vidyadharas, yakshas, rakshasas. So then you have Bhurloka. So that's what we discussed between the Sun and Bhumandala. There are various planets, and apart from that, we also discuss about the seven subterranean planets. Hmm? Um, so they are part of Bhumandala. They are not separate. Uh, so they are like layers within the Bhumandala. Okay, I hope this point is clear. So Bhumandala um, consists of these planets also. Within Bhumandala, these seven subterranean planets exist. Something like this, not exactly. I don't know if there is an opening here, opening there. I am not sure. But the border between the two um, planets is around 500 yojanas. We discussed this. Okay, this is all one like solid, um, you know, place, solid base, one solid part. So you can see this is another version. Here within this exists all the seven subterranean planets. Okay, so you can see here there is Ananta, Lord Ananta is holding the entire Bhumandala. The entire Bhumandala consists of seven subterranean planets and the seven um, oceans and seven islands. And within the seven islands, we are in the center island, which is Jambudvipa. And that Jambudvipa has been divided into 9 parts. And we are in the ninth part of that uh, Jambudvipa. And even the ninth part has been divided into 9 further divisions. So we are the ninth division of that ninth part of um, which is the Jambudvipa. Okay. Okay. So this entire earth, Bhumandala, is held on top of Lord Ananta Shesha. It is mentioned here 30, like 30,000 miles. Is that what is said here? Just yeah, 30,000 miles, 30,000 yojanas beneath this Bhumandala. You can see here, it is said that 200 and yes, where did it go? 240,000 miles. Okay, so 30,000 yojanas, 30,000 yojanas beneath the planet, beneath the planet of Patala, lives another incarnation of the Supreme Lord, which is known as Ananta, Lord Ananta, or is also known as Sankarshana. Okay. So, and I will show you maybe one or two more pictures to understand this. So this you can see how he is holding entire Bhumandala. This is another picture there. Yeah, this one I want to show you. This is another version. You can see this entire, um, you know, uh, portion is called Bhumandala. You can see different layers. These different layers consist of different subterranean planets. Um, so it is held by Ananta Shesha. Ananta Shesha is in turn supported by Kurma that is not mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I don't want to confuse you, but that was mentioned elsewhere. Hmm? And uh, yeah, so Ananta Shesha is here. And so he is basically, what does he do there? He's holding entire Bhumandala on his hoods, one of the hoods. And it is said he feels like holding a mustard seed. Hmm? And he is um, he is worshipped by Lord Shiva. Hmm? And so we will later see it. Um, and basically, the darkness, we think we are this body, everything belongs to me, I belong to this particular place, I and mine concept is there within us. That concept is because of the predominating deity, Sankarshana. Huh? And that's why it is said that if we worship Lord Sankarshana, that I and mine conception will be destroyed. Hmm? So, however much we hear, talk, but that feeling, bodily feeling is there. I and mine, me, etc. So, um, so Lord Ananta Shesha, because of Ananta, we get that feeling. Um, and at the time of devastation, Lord Ananta, when he desired to destroy this creation, he slightly becomes angry. And then what happens when he becomes angry? From between his two eyebrows appears three-eyed Rudra carrying a trident. And from this Rudra, there are 11 Rudras comes, Lord Shivas. They appears in order to devastate the entire creation. So you can see that the connection between Lord Shiva and Sankarshan, because that Lord Shiva comes from Ananta, Lord Ananta, when he wants to destroy this universe, this creation. He becomes slightly angry, and Lord Shiva manifests. And from this main Lord Shiva, there are 11 expansions, 11 Rudras, they come, and they all try to destroy. And Prabhupada writes a beautiful purport here. Let's read, why does Lord Ananta become slightly angry? Right? So let me share the screen. Our Shama Shriji Mataji, you can read the purport, small
Okay, Prabhu.
purport.
Thank you. In each creation, the living entities are given a chance to close their business as conditioned souls. When they misuse this opportunity and do not go back home, back to Godhead, Lord Sankarshana becomes angry. The 11 Rudras, expansion Lord Shiva, come out of Lord Sankarshana eyebrows due to his angry mood, and all of them together devastate the entire creation.
Mm. We should not make Lord Sankarshan angry. We should try and go back home. Uh, that way we can make him peaceful. Of course, some living entities will be there to make him angry, but we should not be part of it. Okay, so then we will read next section. It's a very small section. Um, Text 4 till 5. Bhuvaneshwari Radha Mataji can read. Four
Hare,
and 5.
Hare Krishna. Text 4. The pink, transparent toenails on the Lord's lotus feet are exactly like valuable gems, polished to a mirror finish. When the unalloyed devotees and the leaders of the snakes offer their obeisances to Lord Shankarshna with great devotion, they become very joyful upon seeing their own beautiful faces reflected in his toenails. Their cheeks are decorated with glittering earrings, and the beauty of the faces is extremely pleasing to see. Text 5. Lord Ananta's arms are attractively long, beautifully decorated with bangles, and completely spiritual. They are white, and so they appear like silver columns. When the beautiful princesses of the serpent kings, hoping for the Lord's auspicious blessing, smear his arms with a guru pulp, sandalwood pulp, and kumkuma, the touch of his limbs awakens lusty desires within them. Understanding their minds, the Lord looks at the princesses with a merciful smile, and they become bashful, realizing that he knows their desires. Then they smile beautifully and look upon the Lord's lotus face, which is beautified by reddish eyes, rolling slightly from intoxication and delighted by love of his devotees.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So in this section, the beauty of Lord Anantadeva has been described. He's got a pink and transparent toenails, and when the devotees, hmm, they you know they look exactly like valuable gems polished to a mirror finish. And when the pure devotees they come to worship him, so these devotees they see their reflections in the toenails of Lord Ananta, uh, um, and look at their own beautiful forms in the toenails of Lord Ananta. Then it is next mentioned that Lord Ananta lives beneath Patala, and we mentioned many of these in many of these planets or abodes of various serpents. uh, Even Vasuku lives there. So many serpents, big serpents, live in the Patala area. uh. So it is mentioned, and the princesses of serpentine kings, they worship the Lord. They apply sandalwood, agaru pulp, and kumkum um, to the limbs of the Ananta. They go and worship Lord Ananta. And why do they worship? They wanted to get a beautiful husband, a handsome husband. They wanted to get a good husband. So, and yeah, so Lord blesses them, looks at them blissfully. So this is what mentioned about the Lord's beauty. Next section, it's a bit long section. If necessary, we can divide. So 6 till 15 can be read by Padmaja Mataji. Maybe I can ask in between other people. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Text 6. Lord Sankarshana is the ocean of unlimited spiritual qualities, and thus he is known as Anantadeva. He is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the welfare of all living entities within this material world, he resides in his abode, restraining his anger and intolerance. Text 7. Sukadeva Goswami continued, the demigods, the demons, the Uragas, serpentine demigods, the Siddhas, the Gandharvas, the Vidyadharas, and mainly highly elevated sages constantly offer prayers to the Lord because he is intoxicated. The Lord looks bewildered, and his eyes appearing like flowers in full bloom, move to and fro. He pleases his personal associates, the heads of the demigods, by the sweet vibrations emanating from his mouth. Dressed in bluish garments and wearing a single earring, he holds a plough on his back with his two beautiful and well constructed hands. Appearing as white as the heavenly king Indra, he wears a golden belt around his waist and a Vaijayanti garland of ever fresh tulsi blossoms around his neck. Bees intoxicated by the honey like fragrance of tulsi flowers hum very sweetly around the garland, which thus becomes more and more beautiful. In this way, the Lord enjoys his very magnanimous pastimes. Text 8. If persons who are very serious about being liberated from the material life hear the glories of Anantadeva from the mouth of a spiritual master in the chain of disciplinic succession, and if they always meditate about Sankarshana, the Lord enters the course of their hearts, vanquishing all the dirty contamination of the material modes of nature, and cuts to pieces the hard knot within the heart which has been tied tightly since time immemorial by the desire to dominate material nature through the fruitive activities. Narada Muni, the son of Lord Brahma, always glorifies Anantadeva in his father's assembly. There, he sings blissful verses of his own composition, accompanied by his stringed instrument or a celestial singer known as tambura.
Thank you, Mother. Just
Texna.
one,
Oh,
we'll stop there 1 second. And
okay,
here, um, glories of Lord Anantadeva are given. So when we worship Lord Anantadeva, ideally, it is said that we should. There is a little bit echoes. If everybody can mute their mic, that would be great. Thank you. Yeah, it's working. So ideally, we should hear the glories of Anantadeva from the disciplic succession and meditate upon him. When we glorify Lord Anantadeva, he enters the cores of our hearts. And then what does he do? Vanquishes the contamination of the three modes. We are influenced by three modes. The dirty things are there. And curds the knot of ignorance. Thereby, our previous karma is destroyed. Narada Muni, the son of Lord Brahma, always glorifies Anantadeva in his father's assembly. Yeah, please move on.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Text 9. By his glance, the Supreme Personality of Godhead enables the modes of material nature to act as the causes of universal creation, maintenance, and destruction. The Supreme Soul is unlimited and beginningless, and although he is one, he has manifested himself in many forms. How can human society understand the ways of the Supreme? Text 10. This manifestation of subtle and gross matter exists within the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Out of causeless mercy towards his devotees, he exhibits various forms which are all transcendental. The Supreme Lord is most liberal and he possesses all mystic power. To conquer the minds of his devotees and give pleasure to their hearts, he appears in different incarnations and manifests many pastimes. Text 11. Even if he be distressed or degraded, any person who chants the holy name of the Lord, having heard it from a bona fide spiritual master, is immediately purified. Even if he chants the Lord's name jokingly or by chance, he and anyone who hears him are freed from all sins. Therefore, how can anyone seeking disentanglement from the material clutches avoid chanting the name of Lord Sesha? Of whom else would one take shelter?
Here,
Text.
1 second. Thank you. So here it is, the chanting of the holy name, importance of the chanting of the holy name is mentioned. So any person, distressed or degraded, knowingly, unknowingly, chants, then the effect is we get purified. It is said even if one chants jokingly or by chance, and anyone hears from him. So our devotees, they go to city center on the street, they chant Hare Krishna mantra. Those people who hear also, they will also get some benefit. So that's uh, why should we, not take shelter of the Lord? Uh, so indirectly saying that, yes, so we only get benefited by chanting, by practicing devotion. Why should we give up? Please carry on, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Text 12. Because the Lord is unlimited, no one can estimate his power. This entire universe, filled with its many great mountains, rivers, oceans, trees, and living entities, is resting just like an atom on one of his many thousands of hoods. Is there anyone, even with thousands of tongues, who can describe his glories? Text 13. There's no end to the great and glorious qualities of that powerful Lord Anantadeva. Indeed, his prowess is unlimited. So self sufficient, he himself is the support of everything. He resides beneath the lower planetary system and easily sustains the entire universe. Text 14. My dear king, as I heard of it from my spiritual master, I have fully described to you the creation of this material world according to the fruitive activities and desires of the conditioned souls. Those conditioned souls who are full of material desires achieve various situations in different planetary systems, and in this way they live within this material creation. Text 15. My dear king, I have thus described how people generally act according to their different desires and as a result get different types of bodies in higher or lower planets. You inquired of these things from me, and I have explained to you whatever I have heard from the authorities. What shall I speak of now? Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So we'll read a little more from elsewhere also. This is the discussion between Shukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. When Parikshit Maharaj asked Shukadev Goswami to describe the structure of the universe, so he started this discussion in chapter, I think, 15, 16 onwards. And then now, he's saying that based on one's karma and desires, conditioned souls, acquire various bodies and they live in various planets. And some live in Bhumandala. There are, he describes almost 14 planets. He doesn't touch, or he briefly touches the higher floor planetary system above Dhruvaloka, but he talks about all other planets in detail from Dhruvaloka till Patala. So there are various living beings placed, from within. They are placed within this planetary system, higher, lower, and middle. So based on their desire and karma, and they achieve different bodies and they reside in different places, higher or lower. So that's what mentioned. That's what's been mentioned here. I just want to read a little more from elsewhere. Let me see. Okay, so firstly, let me show the picture again here. So if you see this closely. I don't know if you can see it or not. Let me make it big. Can you see here? Can you recognize these four boys?
Kumaras?
Yes, four Kumaras. And this is Lord Ananta. This is Lord Ananta, and actually he's holding the Bhumandala. So they heard Bhagavatam from Lord Ananta. So that is described in the third canto. We will read that section as well. It nicely connects. And the more we hear about Lord Ananta, the more benefit we derive. Just now we read that, he destroys that I and mine and me, that feeling within us when we worship Lord Sankarshan. So let's read that section. Who else? Manju Radha Mataji, do you want to read this section from, if you're in a position to read, you can read it. So from 2, yeah. Okay.
Let me now begin speaking on the Bhagavad Puran, which was directly spoken to the great sages by the personality of Godhead, for the benefit of those who are entangled in extreme miseries, for the sake of very little pleasure.
Thank you. So just 1 second, I just want to tell devotees, now we are reading little more about Lord Ananta from different canto. This is third canto, 8th chapter, wherein it is mentioned that the Kumaras went to Patala from Janaloka. They usually live in Janaloka. From that place, then they went to Patala, where Lord Ananta is residing and holding the Bhumandala, supporting the Bhumandala. So he heard glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are reading that section from Srimad Bhagavatam, which is third canto, 8th chapter. And I am going to read text 2 till 9. So, okay, Mataji, let's read that text. 2 is completed. Now let's move on to text 3.
Some time ago, being inquisitive to know, Sanat Kumara, the chief of the boy saints, accompanied by other great sages, inquired exactly like you about the truths regarding Vasudev, the Supreme, from Lord Sankarshana, who is seated at the bottom of the universe.
Yeah, just one thing also I want to mention. Vidura left Astinapur, went on a pilgrimage, and met Maitreya Muni. So the custom is that when you meet a saintly person, you inquire from them and learn the truth. But submissive inquiry and then learn truth. So Vidura, when he met Maitreya Muni, he asked many questions. And that time Maitreya Muni said, thank you for asking all these questions concerning Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vasudeva. Kumaras, 4 Kumaras also asked similar questions. They put forward similar question to Lord Sankarshana, and Lord Sankarshana in turn explained Srimad Bhagavatam to 4 Kumaras. I will narrate the same thing to you, but he's giving that history. I hope it's making sense. Please carry on.
At the time Lord Sankarshana was meditating upon his Supreme Lord, when the learned esteem as Lord Vasudev, but for the sake of the advancement of the great learned sages, he slightly opened his lotus-like eyes and began to speak. The sages came from the highest planets down to the low region, through the water of the Ganges, and therefore the hair on their heads was wet. They touched the lotus feet of the Lord, which are worshipped with various paraphernalia by the daughters of the serpent king when they desire good husbands.
We were reading this bit, if you remember, and that they touch the lotus feet. They means they refer to whom? Four Kumaras. Yeah, four Kumaras touched the lotus feet of Lord Ananta, and which were worshipped by the serpentine king. We just read there, isn't it, in the 5th canto. So they apply sandalwood pulp, agaru pulp, kumkum, saffron to the lotus feet of Lord Ananta. They worship desiring good husband. So those same feet were touched by four Kumaras.
The four Kumaras headed by Sanat Kumara, who all knew the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, glorified the Lord in rhythmic accents with selected words full of affection and love. At the time, Lord Sankarshana, with his thousands of raised hoods, began to radiate an effulgence from the glowing stones on his head. Lord Sankarshana thus spoke the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam to the great sage Sanat Kumara, who had already taken the vow of renunciation. Sanat Kumara also, in his turn, when inquired of by Sankhyayana Muni, explained Srimad Bhagavatam as he had heard it from Sankarshana.
Thank you. So these four Kumaras, they went down to see Lord Ananta at the bottom of the universe, Patala. It is mentioned actually in one of the oceans. Through the ocean, you can go to Patala. If you remember, I don't know how many of you read the story of Bhima. Do you remember the story of Bhima? Like once he was given poisonous cake by Duryodhan. It is there in the Mahabharata. Poisonous cake, and he ate that poisonous cake, and so he was unconscious. Then he was thrown into the ocean, and when he was thrown into the ocean, somehow or other, there is a hole somewhere that leads to Patala. So through that hole, he went there, and all the snakes had bitten him. So that poison and this poison got counteracted. He became conscious. And of course, there was a nice story there. So looks like, this is my guess, that looks like that it is mentioned that they have taken the path of water, isn't it? Four Kumaras also went through Ganges. So they must have also taken that path to go there and go and see Ananta, Lord Ananta there. Let's read this. And so when Sanat Kumara questioned him, and Lord Sankarshana explained, and he heard the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, then the system is that you give this knowledge to someone else. So then he spoke this Bhagavatam, Sanat Kumar, to Sankhya Muni. Sankhya Muni. We will hear a little more about him later. So Sankhya Muni. He explained Srimad Bhagavatam to Sankhya Muni after hearing from Lord Anantadeva. Carry on, Madhuri, please.
Yeah. The great sage Sankhya was the chief amongst the transcendentalists, and when he was describing the glories of the Lord in terms of Srimad Bhagavatam, it so happened that my spiritual master, Parashara and Brahaspati both heard him.
Yeah, Maitreya Muni was telling. Maitreya Muni's spiritual master is Parashara. This Parashara heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Sankhya Muni. And indirectly, Maitreya is telling that I am a bona fide disciple of the Lord. I am coming in the proper disciplic succession. So my guru Parashara Muni heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Sankhayana Muni, and Sankhayana heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Kumaras, and Kumaras directly heard Srimad Bhagavatam from the lotus mouth of Sri Anantadev. So I heard from my Gurudev Parashara Muni. I am going to narrate that very Bhagavatam to you. Maitreya Muni is telling Vidura. Okay, please read the last verse.
The great sage Parashara, as aforementioned, being so advised by the great sage Pulastya, spoke unto me the foremost of the Puranas, the Bhagavatam. I shall also describe this before you, my dear son, in terms of my hearing, because you are always my faithful follower. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. So this is a little history of Srimad Bhagavatam, how they heard it. This is one line. There is another line as well, but yeah. So I wanted to mention something else as well. There is one purport that I want to read, the glories of Anantadeva. Yes. Okay, just give me 1 second, please. Has anybody got any questions in the meantime while I'm searching for something? I cannot find 26. Just bear with me, then I will just bring up that purport as well, read. And we can hear some more glories of Anantadeva. Yeah, I found this. So anyone else would like to read some more glories of Anantadeva from Prabhupada gives this in purport 2, text 9 actually. So if you are in a position to read, please raise your hand. Okay, Shamashriji Mata, you can read.
Sure, thank you.
Just 1 second. Only the English you can read from here.
Okay. The following quotations from Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 1.48 to 52 and 158 to 69 tell of the glories of Lord Ananta. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and 4 Kumaras, Sanak, Sanatan, Sanandan, and Sanat Kumara, Vyasadev, Shukdev, Goswami, and Narada are all pure devotees, eternal servants of the Lord. Lord Sri Ananta is worshipped by all these uncontaminated devotees mentioned above. He has thousands of hoods and is the reservoir of all devotional service. Lord Ananta is the original person and the great mystic controller. At the same time, he is a servant of God, a Vaishnava. Since there is no end to his glories, no one can understand him fully. I have already spoken to you of his service to the Lord. Now hear how the self-sufficient Anantadeva exists in the lower planetary system of Patala. Bearing his stringed instrument, Tumburo, on his shoulder, the great sage Narad Muni always glorifies Lord Ananta. Narad Muni has composed many transcendental verses in praise of the Lord. Simply due to the glance of Lord Ananta, the 3 material modes of nature interact and produce creation, maintenance, and annihilation. These modes of nature appear again and again. The Lord is glorified as one without a second, and as the supreme truth who has no beginning. Therefore, he is called Anantadev, unlimited. Who can understand him? His form is completely spiritual, and he manifests it only by his mercy. All the activities in this material world are conducted only in his form. He is very powerful and always prepared to please his personal associates and devotees. If we simply try to engage in the congregational chanting of the glories of Lord Anantadeva, the dirty thing in our hearts accumulated during many births will immediately be washed away. Therefore, a Vaishnava never loses an opportunity to glorify Anantadev. Lord Anantadev is known as Shesha, the unlimited end, because he ends our passage through this material world. Simply by chanting his glories, everyone can be liberated. On his head, Anantadeva sustains the entire universe with its millions of planets containing enormous oceans and mountains. He is so large and powerful that this universe rests on one of his hoods just like a drop of water. He doesn't know where it is. While bearing the universe on one of his hoods, Anandeva chants the glories of Krishna with each of his thousands of mouths. Although he has been chanting the glories of Lord Krishna since time immemorial, he has still not come to their end. This very day, Lord Ananta continues to chant the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and still find no end to them. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's the purport to text 9. Yeah, so that's the, we come to the end of 25th chapter. There is just one more chapter to, to finish 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hopefully, Krishna willing, we will try and describe that. So it is about the hellish planets. It's important. Sometimes there is a little fear is needed for us to be fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. So please don't miss out. Uh, Please attend that session also. Once again, I'm very grateful for your continuous attendance on these classes. It is important. It appears that oh, okay, what are we learning? But you learn a lot when you read systematically. Many devotees fail to read systematically. I'll tell you, I've been in ISKCON for last 20 years. They fail. Starting is easy, stopping is even more easier, but maintaining something, whether it is hearing or reading, is extremely difficult. So by regularly attending, just giving this 1 hour, and we actually can learn a lot and make good progress. Okay, so in this today's chapter, Shukadeva Goswami describes the glories of Lord Ananta, who resides at the bottom of the Bhumandala. And it is mentioned the lowest planet within the Bhumandala is the Patala. Below Patala, 30,000 yojanas below, 240,000 miles below Patala, Anantadeva lives. And he is supporting the entire Bhumandala. Bhumandala rests upon one of his hoods, and he feels like as if he's holding a mustard seed, small mustard seed. And so he is worshipped by Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, if you remember well, I don't know how many of you remember when we were reading Jambudvipa. In the center of Jambudvipa, anybody remembers which Varsha was there?
Ilavarta Varsha.
Aye, Ilavrita Varsha. In the Ilavrita Varsha, Lord Shiva worships Sankarshan. You remember in various Varshas, in various tracts of land, various devotees, they lead the worship. In Kimpurusha Varsha, Hanuman worships Lord Ram. Like that. So in Ilavrita Varsha, Lord Shiva worships Lord Sankarshan. He always meditates upon Lord Sankarshan. And so when he wants to destroy this creation, whenever there is a destruction, whether it is partial destruction or the full destruction, Lord Anantadeva becomes slightly angry, and from his eyebrows, between the eyebrows, Lord Shiva comes, and from that Lord Shiva, 11 expansion of Rudras, Lord Shiva's expansion come. They all engage in the destruction of this material world. Yeah, and so it is mentioned that the serpentine princesses, those who are living in the Patala, in other areas, lower planetary system, they go and worship the Lord, seek benedictions, like that is mentioned. Glories of his holy name is mentioned. Anyone who chants his holy name jokingly, knowingly, unknowingly, they will get the benefit. Shukadeva Goswami then says that depending on their karma and various desires of the living entities, they achieve, they attain different bodies and live at different planets. Some live in higher, some live in middle, some live in the lower planetary system, like that. Then we had a look at how four Kumaras actually went to meet Lord Ananta. And so from Lord Ananta, they heard Srimad Bhagavatam, and they instructed this to Sankhya and Rishi. Sankhya and Rishi in turn instructed it to Parashara, etc. Like that. That's how Maitreya heard. That also we heard Srimad Bhagavatam in the third canto. Okay, so we'll have to stop here. So thank you very much. And next chapter is going to be a little more interesting, maybe a little more scary. Description of the various 28 hellish planets are mentioned. So please do attend.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Very grateful to you. Extremely.
No. Thank you. I am grateful to everyone. Because of you, I am reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you so much. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Srila
Thank you so much,
Prabhupada ki
Prabhuji.
Jai
jai.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.